and a media panel that we can ask questions about what to think about in the North American market. You'll hear a lot of that information. If you have any questions afterwards, we have a Q&A session that is there for you to really think tank with us a little bit, and we would love to also have your input on where you're at and where you would like to go, where North America is concerned. If you prefer to ask any of your questions in German, you can do that, and I'll be happy to translate that for you. I would like to introduce and first of all thank AMK and Köln Messe for the warm welcome that we've received as we began developing this program here over the last few months, and inviting us to present directly here on the premises and to this quite incredible who's who of German kitchens that's in this room right now. I'm very, very honored to be here. And Mr. Volker Irle, CEO of the AMK, is here to say a few words and to kick this meeting off. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually it's an honor for us to have you here and to bring this, it's a little shining like a diamond when we are talking about the US, when we have so much very interesting information. We already had a short meeting yesterday. Maybe most of you guys I know, but anyhow, let me introduce myself a little bit. AMK, Association of Modern Kitchen, association of the whole kitchen industry, electronic appliances, furnitures, and also the supporter and sink companies and so on. So actually this is, we are doing close to the same in Europe and in China, and for us it's a very great coincidence that we have the opportunity because we decided a couple of weeks ago that North America will be the next focus market for our members, because they are very interested. A lot of things are going on in the US regarding kitchen, because right now I think we are talking about frame kitchen and so on, and everything I heard in the past was it's like a closed market, and it's not that interesting. But in the last year, more and more companies start business there, or were looking for information, and so we said, okay, let's make the basic stuff within the AMK, and then every company later on can decide where they need more information, where they need more support. And for sure, we are here for the Europe market, here for the North American market. So thank you very much to have this great opportunity to get this information here right now. Also from Köln Messe, they're very interested and very happy to have here. I'm allowed to say this, so also hello from their side. And let me also introduce Mrs. Hoffman, where she's sitting right now. There she is. She's responsible for the whole part, head of internationalization within the AMK. So if you have further questions regarding AMK or first ideas, if you say, oh, you know what, you might have an information day in the second half of this year, also just for our members, please focus on that or collect information like this. She would be the right person to ask for. And now I'm very excited to get the first information about the kitchen market. I know that you also are responsible for all the bath markets, but as we are now on the trade show for furnitures and especially for kitchen, I'm very interested in the kitchen part. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
And have a wonderful time.
My distinct pleasure to introduce Suzie Williford, the Executive Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer of the National Kitchen and Bath Association for the North American market, as well as her colleague, L.H. Millard, who is an NKBA industry insider. She is also a certified kitchen and bath designer and a member of the staff at the National Kitchen and Bath Association. Suzie is going to be presenting the data and a lot of the hard facts. Elle is going to be presenting a lot of the warm facts, the soft facts, the trends. We would welcome your Q&A, as Veronica suggested at the end of the presentation. We are going to have a little break In between the formal remarks and the media panel, we would invite you to, grab another coffee or drink, and then please stay to have a conversation with the North American media, as well as a very esteemed member of our design team in the US, and you'll have an opportunity to really explore, is it truly a framed conversation or is it frameless? There may be some interesting conversations that happen there, and also how to think about coming to market. So with that, Suzie?
Thank you. It is really my pleasure to be here. It's been such a warm welcome. Our association, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have been with the association for 6 years as a paid employee, but prior to that, I spent 35 plus years working in the industry, selling appliances, cabinets, countertops, plumbing, hardware, installation, flooring. We had it all in our showrooms. We had 13 showrooms in the US. And so I have an interesting perspective that I have brought to the association on what the market needs, because no one really knows better than somebody that has worked in the market for a very long time. The NKBA has 3 important pillars that we run our association by. Certification, to make sure that the industry professionals know what they're doing. Membership, to grow membership, but not only just to have a large membership, but to increase the community, and to increase the community in the US. We are an interesting association because we're an all industry association, where many associations, especially in the US, we have ASID, which is designers, AIA, which is architects, NAHB, which is builders, NARI, which is remodelers, but NKBA is the Kitchen and Bath Association. We represent manufacturers reps, installers, remodelers, builders, designers, showrooms, multi-branch retailers. So we are all things to all people in the US. It's wonderful because we really can deliver a better product, many more member benefits, but as you can imagine, it's like having 10 children. Somebody is never happy. So, but we work on it. Our mission is to create safe and beautiful kitchens and baths in an environment for the end consumer. We're dedicated to this. And a few years back, NKBA became very interested in the global market. Not necessarily to grow and have chapters everywhere in the world, because that's not our goal. Our goal is to connect the industry worldwide, to make sure we all know that the world has become the business in the world is very global. And there's no reason why the kitchen and bath industry cannot also be global. German products are, just a little segue, German products are very well respected in the US. You can tell that by the status symbol of driving a German car. Everybody in the US, you are somebody if you drive a Mercedes or a BMW. I remember when I got my first BMW, it was a big deal. So German products for the kitchen and for the bath, they carry that same respect. You should know that. The NKBA, we have tripled our research over the last few years. Our research is very varied, and we are dedicating significant resources to finding out what goes in the market. Last year we spent over $400,000 researching the American market. Our goal is to eventually also do the same kind of research for the global market. Our research shows that kitchen and bath remodeling is a big, strong, vibrant market in the US. The growth between 2016 and 2017 was 7% in our market. It went from $143 billion in 2016 to $158 billion in 2018. Huge growth. To mention a few, we've done a size of the market study. We do each year the trend study. In May, we're going to be bringing out the kitchen and bath market index study. So our information, because of the fact that we pay for it, we do it, we work with large marketing firms to gather the data for us. It is pure and it is real information. Our research has a very wide sweep of the market. Our in-house research analyst works with a research gentleman that did work for Kohler for 25 years. It's a world-class company, and then they analyze it, bring it back to us, and then as part of membership with NKBA, this market research is available to you. We feature our sample sizes range between a few hundred and a few thousand. We reach out to industry professionals, we reach out to consumers. When necessary, we reach out to manufacturers, and in some cases, in some of our larger studies, we'll reach out to both the industry professionals and the consumers to gather the appropriate information that we need to come up with the answers that we're looking for. The total residential U.S. construction market, meaning building and remodeling, $644 billion. Kitchens and baths represent about 25% of that. So that's where we come up with the $158 billion. Important for you to note is that the majority of this is driven by two categories: appliances and cabinets. Because of the fact that those are both higher ticket items, they take the larger amount of the industry. So consequently, the connection to the manufacturer in the industry is very important. We also know that from the mid-range to the high end, these products are not specified by the consumer. They are specified in the U.S. by a professional, whether that be a certified designer, an interior designer, an architect, a builder, or a remodeler. They drive the sale. They drive the sale, which means that the connection between the manufacturer and the U.S. professional is very, very important, because they are the ones that the consumer trusts to put the proper product into their projects. The market volume of $158 million includes remodeling and replacement, and over $99 billion of that is in remodeling. The other $59 million of it is in new construction. Most people redo their kitchens a couple times, some said 3. What's interesting to us is that the kitchen portion of that and the bath portion of that is not that far apart. Kitchens 80 billion, baths 78 billion. As I said, the market increased 7% over 16 to 17, but through our research, we're projecting another 8% increase for the next year. So it just keeps getting better in our market. Part of that's our economy, part of that is the age. The baby boomers still have the money, they're still remodeling. The breakdown for the 80 billion is, as I said, in the two categories. Another interesting note is that $14.6 billion of it is countertops and $13 billion of it is flooring. As you can see, we have a very strong understanding of our market. It's not surprising because of the cost of goods. The products that you people represent are the ones that take the most money in the U.S. We're not going to be doing a deep dive into this slide today because Elle's going to talk more about it when she's done. But in 2018, we did a comprehensive lifestyle study, which really gave us insight to how people buy, why people buy, what they're thinking when they're purchasing, and you'll talk a little bit more about it. Our research revealed that 51% of the consumers seek design help to create their dream kitchen or dream bath. And that represents 58% of the spending in the kitchen and bath remodeling. This indicates a significant opportunity for German brands to bring their brands to the American market, to work with the professionals in the American market, to specify your product and increase your presence in the US and North America. Interestingly enough, the US and Canada work very well together. We have a couple of people here that are with us from Canada. The NKBA has 70 chapters in the US and Canada. And some of those chapters, when they get up into the north, are merged. We find that many of our members that work directly with our chapters come to the chapter meetings, network with our design community. Last year, just as an indicator, our association held 354 chapter meetings. Those 354 chapter meetings was representative of 8,000 professionals coming together on a monthly basis, geographically located throughout the U.S., to start networking and create the relationships that it takes to build your business. It's interesting, it doesn't matter where you go in the world, people buy from people. The average American who we found this interesting, who remodels the kitchen, is 52 years old. And over 60% of them were women. That is not surprising. The average household income is about $144,000 per year. And the house is generally valued at around $418,000. Sorry, we only have one clicker, so I'm having to do this. The kitchen, of course, represents the biggest investment. The average cost of renovating a small kitchen under 150 square feet, which I did the math, that's 14 square meters. I was using Google last night to do this. Is $27,000, representing only about 5% of the projects. Medium-sized kitchens between 100 and 250 square feet, around 23 meters, make up 73% of our market. And large kitchens, more than 350 square feet, almost 33 square meters, make up 22% of the market at an average remodel price of $90,000 plus. So kitchens in the U.S. are big. They are not only a place to cook, they are a place to gather. Everyone stays in the kitchen. They're entertaining areas, they're gathering, it's where the family does their work. It's a very important room in the U.S. The costs reflect projects in which a designer is involved, not the do-it-yourselfers or the DIY projects as we call them. However, most of the market is driven by the mid to high-end activity, with a small percentage in the luxury. 13% is luxury. These are kitchens that are well over $100,000. I've been involved in kitchens that are $250,000, $300,000. Most Americans, as I said earlier, only do their kitchens once or twice in a lifetime. Although now we're finding that some will do it up to 3 times. Many people are staying in their houses longer, building the equity, just redoing the kitchen. 77% choose to renovate their kitchen because they don't like the way it looks. Really doesn't have anything to do with anything more than they just can't stand looking at it anymore, which is interesting to me. 42% are remodeling their project because they feel that it doesn't function well, that they can't cook correctly, it's uncomfortable to work in, the appliances are outdated, so they redo it because of that reason. And then interesting, we have a large group of people, 40%, that redo their kitchen because they want to stay there, living in place. They want to make sure that they can be in this kitchen until they no longer reside in a house. Because of that, we have formed a partnership with the Living in Place Institute to make sure that our professionals are not only certified on kitchen and bath design, but they're also going to be certified for living in place. This was a very important initiative that we did this last year. The U.S. homeowners are very design savvy. They're design savvy for many reasons, and the most successful manufacturers know this, and they use many channels to make sure that the U.S. consumer is aware of their brands, as well as the design professionals. We have multiple channels on our TVs dedicated to design, home renovation. It's some of the top watched channels in the U.S. People are very interested in having a kitchen that meets the standard of their peers. It's a status symbol in the U.S. to have a beautiful kitchen. Among the 50% or 51% that seek design help, only half look to home improvement retailers, our TV shows, or magazines for their inspiration and for their information. The rest, as you can see, they go to the channels that, as I said before, are the design professionals. Therefore, there are key channels for U.S. brands or any brands coming into the U.S. to make sure that they reach the proper market. Elle will talk a little bit more about that, and our media outlets that we brought here can give you a really good indicator on how to reach the American market and grow there. In KBIS, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, is the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show. It is owned by our association, NKBA. It is a show that's about 55 years old now. And we have co-located for the last 6 years with the International Builder Show. So 2 shows are running concurrently this year it'll be in Las Vegas from February 19th through the 21st. Our show brings in about 35,000 qualified buyers. That's very important when we talk about the numbers, because we only bring back to our exhibitors the numbers of people who are qualified to make a purchase, either the decision maker in the company or the sales specifiers. We will have, between the 2 shows this year, we will have 1 million square feet. We expect 115,000 visitors to our show. It's an interesting place to be. It is, in North America, the premier kitchen and bath and construction show. The people that attend our show are definitely the most committed in their fields. They're there to build their relationships. They're there to find new product. They're there to gather inspiration, and then of course education. We do a very intense, and we will have over 80 sessions this year. They come there, it's a 3-day show. They also have a lot of fun, go home with a lot of new friends. Participating in KBIS is one way to, yeah, well, we're going home with a lot of new friends. That's what happens when you come to a trade show. Participating in KBIS is just one way to reach the people. I mean, it's very effective, but there are other ways. Being part of the association, sponsoring events, attending chapter meetings, working with the media. There's lots of channels in the U.S. that you can reach the market. And the NKBA is here to help you. Our commitment really truly is to build this global community. It's important to us that the kitchen and bath industry throughout the world gather steam. In the last 4 years, I guess 3 or 4 years, we've been to Italy twice, England twice, Shanghai, Amsterdam, Guadalajara, Cancun, Germany. So we've been on the road a lot, spreading the word, inviting people to connect together. Sometimes at our meetups, we had a meetup last night, sometimes when we bring people together, it's nothing really that benefits us. It's 2 companies come together that have been in the same country but really haven't had the opportunity to meet each other or talk. Those relationships form too. If each time we do something we can help the industry or one company do a little better, we're achieving our goal. So before I turn it over to Elle, and she does the soft stuff, because I always get the hard stuff, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions, if anybody has any questions about the data or our association. No? questions? Yes.
Do you have also like studies regarding the cooking appliances, whether the Americans use more cooking appliances with gas or gas ceramic cooktops? So just to go more into details in the cooking appliance business.
We do. The important point, I think, for all of you to know is a huge part of what the association delivers is tremendous proprietary research. And so there are drill downs that we can go in and cross-tab the research and pull out pretty significant pieces of information. Elle's going to talk a little bit about some of the directional trends. But for instance, we know that there is a greater adoption for induction cooking.
Finally.
Good trend.
Yeah, you have been talking about induction for 50 years. We finally have woken up and realized the value of that. Small scale appliances, steam cooking, can all of the various approaches to different mixes. That's in those crosstabs.
Okay, cool.
And keep in mind that the research that Suzie talked about, again, I can't emphasize it enough, it's proprietary. So many of the companies, even the large organizations in North America, don't have the resources to keep economists on staff, and they don't do their own proprietary research any further. So the association becomes a very critical point, not only for all of you, but for our own manufacturers as well. So again, feel free, as a member, you have access to this information.
Last year, we also did a very in-depth cabinet study on what kind of cabinets the U.S. market likes, what's the trend, what's selling. So all that, there's a plethora of information that we have that's available as Sherry said to our members.
And technology as well.
Yeah,
I mean, all of you, I know, are kind of exploring technology, but again, I think it's very important for you to, we all stereotype. Check the research before you continue to stereotype. The technology insights are fascinating. And actually, in the US and Canada, the consumer is actually ahead of the manufacturers and the design professionals, and we have to catch up. And so, but there is a very specific way they want us to catch up. They are not going to accept us figuring out piecemeal. They want it fully integrated. And so Suzie has been working on the association very closely with another very vertical association called the Custom Electronic Design Installation Association in North America and frankly globally, to evaluate how we should be advising all of you about thinking about technology, because it's not as simple as an Alexa at all. Certainly not from the consumer's perspective, and the data tells you that.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. I thank you for listening to me. More importantly, I thank you for your hospitality. Germany has been wonderful to us. The food, I'm going home to fast.
My name is Elle Millard. I am a certified kitchen designer, and I thank you all very much for being here. We're really happy and excited to have you. And of course, speaking about trends to a European market is a little nerve-wracking. We understand that the European market tends to be ahead of the US market, and it used to take us a few years to catch up. However, our research is showing us that we're a little closer on that gap. And participants such as Blanco, we had met with yesterday, was mentioning that they're releasing products at the same time in the US as they are in the European market, due to things of our nature of research. So they're taking notes and seeing what our market is looking for and adapting to that and launching product at the same time. So that's fairly new in our market because we've always been a little behind. So as I talk about some of the trends that we've been seeing and spotting, I also want to mention that we've changed the way we've done our trend study. So for years, we've done more of a tracking study as to where things are currently right now. And we just recently changed this. This is our first study where we're projecting 3 years out and this is from design experts, those that are specifying products, those that see the need for a product, what they see for the next 3 years. So as we go through some of this information, some of it may be new and some of it may not be, but just bear with us and feel free to ask any questions as we go through this. You may have a different opinion and maybe we could help walk through that.
Slow down.
Thank you. I realize English is my only and first language, so I will take a breather. And anyone that needs me to slow down, please just raise your hand. So the 5 key takeaways that we received from our trend study, the projected trend study, is that we're looking to a shift towards the contemporary market. So last year, our study showed us that farmhouse was really the emerging trend in the US, and we're projecting out that contemporary will be leading the charges in 3 years, which is good news. The European market seems to have caught up. But what I found fascinating on the show floor was there was a lot of country feels and that farmhouse look back in the UK or in Germany as well. So that I'm finding interesting that we're kind of doing a trade-off there as far as trends. We are also seeing a major shift in smaller appliances where the mobility and the flexibility and the adaptability with appliances and how we use them is really, really important. So we're looking at things that are multi-purposed, under-counter refrigerators, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Another takeaway is island living, which has been significant in the US, where people really use their island as an entertainment zone. So we're starting to see a different footprint happen in the US, where we've always worked around a work triangle, and now in the island, it is more of a linear path. So we're paying attention to how that is impacting function and flow in the kitchen first and foremost. The 4th takeaway is the interest in mid-height cabinetry, which is really no surprise to you all, but it is that furniture look that has those very unique legs that make the piece feel more like furniture in the kitchen. So it feels a little more cozy and warm. And then last but not least, in the study, we've seen an increase in matte finishes, which is across the board on countertops, in faucet fixtures. Black matte has become very popular and is also projected out for the next few years. And we'll speak a little bit more in depth about finishes as we continue. So the big part of what this study gave to us was, as Suzie had mentioned, the lifestyle of how our buyers are living. What are their purchasing habits? What are products that they're really looking for? So it gave the consumer's perspective on the lifestyle, on how they want to live in their kitchen. So Suzie also mentioned that the average age is 52 years old for those that are purchasing. And in our study, we broke the study down into different segments and different demographics based on people that are seeking design help in the industry. So those are people that are going to be hiring a designer and looking for someone who specifies your products. So we did give them fun little names. There's some categories here. We categorize them as the confident cook. That's the person that's going to seek design help that is really comfortable in the kitchen. And then the other segment is those that struggle to cook. And you can see the demographics here in the infographics that those that are interested in cooking and feel confident are mostly female. That was the demographic that Suzie was talking about. They're in the boomers. And their average income is $430 US. And the interesting information is the square footage of the home. So 2,500 square feet. And what is that in meters, Veronica? 2,500 square feet?
About 240, 230 square meters.
Okay, or meters square. Thank you. And the average income is about 150. So you can see that demographic of those that enjoy cooking is in the higher realm and lends itself to a boomer aged female. And then we also have those that struggle in the kitchen. And those are also female. They tend to be the younger generation, the Gen X, Gen Yers, and the millennials. But the average home value there is around $400,000. And the square footage is a little under where we were looking in the Confident Cooks with 2,300. And again, the income is a little less. So as I had mentioned, those categories with those fun little names, it means something to you. If people are struggling in the kitchen and yet they're seeking design help, they may be, or I'm sorry, if someone's confident in the kitchen and seeking design help, they might want a professional range. They want to feel like a professional cook. So thinking about those appliances is really based on their lifestyle. It really has nothing to do with being like your neighbor. It's really customized to your family and your lifestyle. The entertainers, those are those that will be most interested in islands and having extra storage, the additional refrigeration, things of that nature. Same with the busy family. So a busy family is someone that may take out and has a large family or has events after work. So they're looking for quick, easy, efficient type of appliances. Same with function and flow of their cabinetry. And then we have the struggling cooks. And in the US, we have this big push towards these meal kit services, which is also changing how we think about storage in our kitchens, especially refrigeration. You receive a subscription of food in the mail. Do you have that all here?
Yeah, we have HelloFresh.
Yeah.
I guess
Yes.
we have HelloFresh too.
Yeah, so
And
same
I
kind of
remember
concept.
the names.
Yeah.
So I guess HelloFresh is the biggest
Yeah.
buyer.
Food assembly.
Food assembly. Yeah.
And that really changes the footprint about how we develop new products, especially in refrigeration. So there may be drawers now, we might not need as much storage. So it's just things to really think about based on some of these findings. We also know that the boomers have the buying power. They have more than half right now. The millennial generation is buying, but they're a little slower. They have tremendous college debt. They're starting families later, building or buying homes later, remodeling homes later. And to be honest, the money isn't there, so that they're replacing what they need to at the time being. So Suzie mentioned a big movement. So this is the first really big trend that is something huge in the US, which is called Living in Place. And we did partner with the Living in Place Institute. And Sherry, do you want to talk about that a little bit from a strategic standpoint as to why we have done that?
Sure. So the Living in Place Institute is one that you may want to check. It is very much an educationally focused group. It is not an association. One of the reasons that they wanted to partner with the National Kitchen and Bath Association was because obviously they are education, they are not association. And their entire focus is on trying to reduce challenges, accidents that happen in the two biggest accident-prone rooms in the home, and that's the kitchen and the bath. They also want to try and allow people to rethink the design of kitchens and baths to not only be more safe, but also easier to live in longer. So regardless of whether you're 8 years old or 80, you should be able to live in the environment that you are living in without complication. And so they have